first I've heard of it.
Really? How interesting.
Halt! Only the citizens of the town and the king's troops can get into the upper end of the town.
Couldn't we make an exception?
What? There are rules in this town. Rules that apply to everyone without exception. If we let you break those rules, it would be unfair towards all those who obey them.
If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes.
I'm a respected citizen of Corinus. Let me pass.
You are the dirt under my fingernails. Make yourself scarce.
It can't go on like this forever.
I'm telling you for the last time.
Can't keep it.
One step farther, and you'll be in a world of hurt.
I've heard a thing or two. I already thought as much. It can't go
Hey,
on like this
you're new in
forever.
town, huh?
Yes, and what about you?
I've come from the mainland, and now I'm hanging around here. I'm almost out of gold, so all I can do now is join the militia, I guess. But I don't want to do that. I won't be slaughtered by those orcs on the king's behalf.
Say you didn't know that.
I don't believe that.
What can you tell me about the militia?
One of the paladins has taken command. A certain Lord Andre. He's trying to mobilize half the city in case the orcs attack. But you need to be a citizen of the town in order to be admitted. As far as I know, if you're not a citizen, you can train anyway. But you won't be officially admitted.
What else can you tell me about Lord Andre?
He has taken over the position of judge as well. If you cause any trouble in this town, you're gonna have to answer to him. I was once in a brawl with a citizen. He went crying to Lord Andre and ratted me out. That little matter cost me 50 gold pieces. I was lucky that it happened at night, or others would have witnessed it. The more people complain about you in this town, the higher your penalty will be.
Don't tell me you didn't know that.
It can't go on like
Has anything exciting happened?
this quiet.
You could say that. They robbed Bosper the bowmaker.
Don't tell
What
me
a
you didn't know
brazen
that.
thing to do, I tell you. The fellow just ambled into the shop in broad daylight and grabbed himself a bow. And Bosper right after him, hollering, "Stop right there, you rogue!"
So
But the
why
thief
won't
was
they
too
listen to
fast.
me?
That's an open secret.
Nothing surprises me anymore.
I've got my own opinion about that. I don't know why he gets so worked up.
Now that's typical, isn't it?
I never knew that.
I hardly know what to believe anymore. Where did you pick that up then?
I can't take care of everything for everybody.
Hey!
It was just like you said.
Hello, stranger. You must be hungry and thirsty. Perhaps I can interest you in my wares.
So why won't they listen to me?
I was actually on my way to see the paladins.
There's little chance of that. Since the paladins made themselves at home in the upper end of town, hardly anyone gets in there anymore.
Can you help me get into the upper quarter?
Me? Nah, I don't have much say here myself. There are a few people in the lower city who have enough influence to get you past the guards. Matteo, my boss, is one of them. Maybe you should talk to him.
Where can I find Matteo?
You're standing right outside his shop. Just go on in. He's practically always there.
What about the other influential citizens?
The merchants and master craftsmen here on the main street are the most important figures in the city. You should try to get accepted by one of them as an apprentice like me. Since I started working for Matteo, the people in the city treat me with respect.
I hardly know what to believe anymore.
I need some money, and I'm looking for work.
Really?
I've heard that Bosper has trouble with his suppliers. His shop is right over there. They say he pays pretty well.
What do you have to offer?
At the moment, I don't have much choice. The damned landowner doesn't deliver anymore. And what we get from the small farms isn't enough to meet the demands of the city.
So why won't they listen to me?
Tell me more about the peasants' revolt.
It's quite simple. Onar, the fat landowner, won't pay any more taxes to the city. Imagine, we're at war with the orcs, and that fat slob wants everything for himself. Normally, the city guard would take firm measures in such cases. But now comes the best part. They say Onar has hired mercenaries to keep the troops from the city off his back. Mercenaries. The whole thing will end in a damn war, as if one war weren't enough.
What do you know about Onar's mercenaries?
I heard that most of them are former convicts from the mining colony. And their leader's supposed to have been a big shot with the king, a general or something, whom they put away as a traitor. These are terrible times.
Nothing surprises me anymore.
Show me your wares.
That's the first I've heard of it.
I'm not telling you anything new.
That's the first I've heard of
It's not what I heard.
it. It was just like you said.
Halt! No one may enter the storeroom!
Why can't anyone enter the storeroom?
The Honorable Lord Hagen has confiscated the goods for the King's army.
But he knew that.
Are you deaf? One step closer and I'll chop you to bits.
No better off myself.
I've heard a thing or two.
Nothing surprises me anymore.
What can I do for you?
What are you selling?
I can offer you everything you need to survive in the wild. Weapons, torches, provisions, even armor. I still have a special piece in stock. Double hardened armor of snapper leather, still unused. Interested?
What do you know about paladins?
Since these bastards have come to the city, I've had nothing but trouble. The last time I was headed for the upper end of town, the guards flat out stopped me and asked me what was my business there.
And?
Of course they let me in. I had my shop in the city when most of those pompous asses were still chasing pigs with wooden swords. And yesterday, the bastards came and confiscated half of my goods.
The paladins seized your goods.
Everything I had stored in the backyard. They simply posted a guard in front of the entrance to the yard. If I'm lucky, they won't take everything. At least they might leave the armor here.
Can you help me get into the upper quarter?
What? What are you going to do there?
I've got an important message.
Well, well. Have you tried getting past the guards?
Oh man, forget it.
That's typical of those beggars. I don't know how important your message is, and it's none of my business. But even if you told them that a ship full of orcs just anchored in the harbor, they'd send you away, because they have their orders.
So can you help me get into the upper quarter?
It seems to be really important to you. The question is, how important is it to you?
What are you getting at?
I can help you. After all, I'm one of the most influential people here, but it'll cost you.
What are you asking for your help?
100 gold pieces.
That's a whole damn lot.
Take it easy. It isn't your gold I have in mind.
But
In principle, it's my gold. Gritta, the carpenter's niece, hasn't paid what she owes me in ages. But the little brat is constantly running around in new clothes. That means she has the money. I'd like to beat it out of her. But Master Thorben, the carpenter, is also a very influential man. Get me the money and I'll help you.
where can I find this Gritta?
Like I said, she's the carpenter's niece. His house is down the street, the last house on the right before the smithy.
How exactly can you help me?
Quite simple. I'll use my influence to see to it that one of the master craftsmen here takes you on as an apprentice. As such, you'll practically be a citizen of the city and can enter the upper quarter. Besides which, you'll earn something while you're at it.
Help me sign on as an apprentice with one of the masters.
One thing at a time. First fulfill your part of the deal and bring me the gold.
Where could I sign on as an apprentice then?
Basically, with any master here on the main street. That would be Harrod the smith, Bospa the bowmaker, Thorben the carpenter, or Constantino the alchemist. One of them is bound to take you on. But it's important that the other masters agree. That's always been the custom here in Corinus.
How do I get the approval of the other masters?
You just have to convince them. Go and talk to them. But if more than one of them is against you, you don't stand a chance, so behave yourself.
Why don't you take me on as an apprentice?
I would, but the other masters wouldn't agree. I just recently took on another apprentice.
Is there another way to get into the upper quarter?
Perhaps. If I think of anything, I'll let you know.
Show me your wares.
I'm not telling you anything new.
So why won't they listen to me?
And so he set himself between his brothers in order to reconcile their dispute, and he did not succeed.
What do you want, stranger? If you've come to beg, I must disappoint you. I am a poor widow. My name is Gritta. Ever since my husband died, I have been running the household for my uncle Thorabin.
How's it going?
Same as always, but I don't want to complain.
Matteo sent me. You still owe him some gold.
He wants his money? What for? The goods he delivered were flawed, bad fabric, and bad seams. And did you look at the colors? Those are not the colors I ordered. That's fraud, that is. Let me tell you, back when my husband was alive, he wouldn't have dared to do that. Oh, my poor husband. Such a good man he was. Handsome, hardworking, a gentleman of the old school. We had it all. Wealth, happiness. Sometimes we were even invited to high society events. The festivities, all the beautiful clothes and hairdos, the fine dining and civilized conversations. Everything was better back then. No one would have dared to humiliate the heart of a poor widow with such ridiculous claims. Whatever shall I do? My pension is barely enough to make ends meet, and times are getting even rougher. One sees it everywhere. People must scrimp and save. It's been weeks since the last ship came to town. My husband was the captain of a merchant ship. Actually, he even owned the ship. From his long journeys, he always brought me presents. Exquisite fabrics from the mainland, precious spices from the southern countries. Most people haven't even heard of these things. But then, one day, I got the tidings that the Gritta had sunk. That was the name of the ship. My husband called it that out of love for me. I wept and prayed that my husband had survived the disaster. Every day I hoped to hear from him, but all my longing was in vain. May Innos have mercy on his soul. May he rest in peace. Since that time, I have been living under these modest circumstances, and now this soulless, callous Matteo is after the last bit of my life savings. Please have mercy on a poor woman. Back when my husband was alive, he wouldn't have dared to do that. Oh, my poor husband. Such a good man he was. Handsome, hardworking, a gentleman of the old school. We had it all. Wealth, happiness. Sometimes we were even invited to high society events. The festivities, all the beautiful clothes and hairdos, the fine dining and civilized conversations. Everything was better back then. No one would have dared to humiliate the heart of a poor widow with such...
Cut it out. Where's the gold?
But I don't have the gold. I'm only a poor widow.
Then we'll simply sell a few of your togs. I'm sure you've still got a bunch of stuff in your closet.
How dare you? Uncouth lout. All right, here, take the gold.
See, that wasn't so hard.
And now will you please leave my house?
And Enos, in his wisdom, did so.
Here's your 100 gold pieces.
And did she cause any problems?
None to speak of.
Good. You've held up your part of the deal.
Help me sign on as an apprentice with one of the masters.
Don't worry. I'll keep my part of the bargain. The other masters will only hear the best about you from me.
You didn't get that from me. Ah, fresh face. You're not from Corinus, are you? This is not a good time for travelers. Bandits everywhere, no work, and now the farmers have risen up too. What winds have blown you here?
I'm looking for work.
Do you know anything about carpentry?
The only thing I can make out of wood is a fire.
And what about locks?
Well...
I'm sorry, but I can't use you if you know nothing about my trade. And I have no money to pay for an apprentice.
What if I want to start an apprenticeship with one of the other masters here?
All right, I shall give you my approval. But you had better get yourself the blessing of the gods first. Say, are you a man of faith?
Yes, a most humble servant, Master Thorben.
Then go to Vatras, the priest of Adanos, and have him give you his blessing. He will tell you where you can find a priest of Innos. You should get his blessing too. Once you have received the blessing of the gods, I shall vote for you.
So, you know a lot about locks.
What good is a fine chest without a fine lock? I make my own locks. That way, I can at least be sure I haven't built my chest that sturdy for nothing. A poorly made lock is easy to break. And there are plenty of thieves about in Corinus, especially lately.
Can you teach me how to pick locks?
You have paid Gritta's debt with Matteo. You seem to be a decent fellow. I shall teach you what you want to know. However, I cannot do it for free. I still have a mountain of debts, and I need the money.
How much do you charge?
200 gold pieces.
Maybe later. Can you sell me some lockpicks?
Well, all right, but they won't be of any use to you as long as you don't know how they work.
Have you had an apprentice before?
Yes, and not too long ago.
And what happened?
His name is Elvrich. He's my nephew. I was quite pleased with him, actually, but one day he simply didn't show up for work.
Where is Elvrich now?
How would I know? He kept hanging around that filthy brothel by the harbor. I wouldn't be surprised if he's still warming the bed of some whore down there.
How long has it been since you saw him?
I guess it must be about 2 weeks.
Have you reported that to the militia?
Of course I have. They were supposed to catch him and see to it that the lazy bones does his work. But I already regret that. He can do whatever he wants. Sooner or later he'll realize he'll get nowhere in Corinus without a decent job.
Is that so? What do you know about the Paladins?
Not much. They arrived by ship 2 weeks ago from the mainland. Since then, they have withdrawn to the upper end of town. Nobody here really knows exactly why they have come. Many are afraid of an attack by the orcs. I suppose, however, that they are here to quell the farmers' rebellion.
Do you know anything about the peasants' rebellion?
Rumor has it that Onar, the landowner, has hired mercenaries to keep the king's troops from breathing down his neck. He was probably tired of having to throw his harvest along with his livestock at paladins and militia. All we notice of this in town is that the food prices keep rising. Onar's farm lies far to the east of here. We wouldn't know if there's any fighting going on there. And if you want to know more, ask the merchants in the marketplace. They get around the island more than I do.
And the sea released the land, and there arose all creatures, trees as well as animals, wolves as well as sheep, and last of all arose the human. And Adanos was pleased with what had arisen, and he delighted in all the beings equally. But so great was the wrath of Beliar that he came across the land and chose the beast. And Beliar spoke to it, and the beast became his subject. And Beliar gave unto it a portion of his divine power, so that it might destroy the land.
About those missing people.
Yes?
Let me tell you what I know.
What have you found out?
Nothing important so far. I'm asking your blessing.
Why should I give you my blessing, stranger?
I want to start an apprenticeship with one of the masters in the lower part of town.
Go with the blessing of Adanos, my son.
Where can I find a priest of Innos?
The best thing would be to look around the marketplace. You will find an emissary of the monastery there.
I'm Zurus, Master of Potions. Do you need an essence of healing or a magic elixir? Then you've come to the right place.
Show me your wares.
I just received some new potions. My guest, Master Daron, the fire magician, brought them along from the monastery.
What can I do for you? Are you seeking spiritual comfort? Do you want to direct a prayer to our Lord Innos, or donate some gold for his church?
I need to talk to the paladins. Can you help me get to them?
Well, you need access to the upper end of town. However, this is allowed only to citizens and the city guard. And of course, to us, magicians of fire.
How can I become a fire magician?
You must join our order as a novice. When you have served for a time, perhaps you will be accepted into the ranks of the magicians. However, the path to acceptance is long and full of work and study.
I've come to get your blessing.
That's good. That's good. Then you will probably want to donate gold to the Holy Church of Innos, won't you?
Actually, I wanted your blessing so I can sign on as an apprentice in the lower part of town.
But my son, without a modest donation to the church, it is impossible for me to bless you. How else can I be certain of your good intentions toward the Holy Church of Innos?
So, how much does a donation usually run to here?
Well, that depends on what percentage you want to give, son. Let me see how much you brought. You have more than 100 gold pieces. The Lord says give if you have. The church accepts your generous donation. I bless you in the name of Innos, for he is light and righteousness.
Where do you come from?
I come from the monastery of the magicians, which lies in the mountains. We accept everyone there who is pure of heart and feels the desire to serve our almighty Lord Innos.
Tell me about Innos.
Innos, our almighty Lord, is the light and the fire. He chooses humans to be his tool, giving them magic and laws. We act in his name. We administer justice according to his will and preach his word.
Tell me more about the monastery.
We instruct our students in all forms of magic, but the arts of the magicians of fire consist of more than these alone. We are also well versed in the art of alchemy and in the creation of powerful runes. We also make excellent wine.
What are you doing in town?
I have discussions with the paladins and support the citizens with my advice and with helpful words. Particularly in these difficult times, it is our duty to be there for the people and to help the poor.
And Beliar gave unto it a portion of his divine power, so that it might destroy the land.
Hey, you! How about your approval, Master?
Has Vatras given you his blessing?
Yes.
And did you also get the blessing of a priest of Innos?
Yes, I did.
Then you shall have my blessing as well. No matter what path you decide to take pride in doing a good job, my boy.
Hey, you, wait. You look familiar to me.
What do you want?
I've seen your face before somewhere, right? Here, we found this picture on some bandits we picked up a few days ago. It looks a lot like you. Apparently, those guys were looking for you.
Gee, I'd never have thought of that myself.
Very funny. What did those guys want from you?
Ask them yourself. You've got them safely locked up, haven't you?
No, they're dead.
I guess we'll never know then.
If you're in some kind of trouble, go talk to Lord Andre. Maybe he can help you. You'll find him in the barracks.
How's the situation?
At the moment, it's quiet. Only the bandits outside the city are causing us problems.
What do you know about the bandits?
They've all come from that blasted mining colony. But there are several splinter groups. Some are holed up in the mountains, and others have joined up with Ona, the landowner. But it's the bandits outside of town who cause the most problems. They're the reason that none of the merchants venture beyond the city gates now.
Where did the bandits who had my wanted poster come from?
We picked them up near the landowner's place, but they didn't look like Onar's people. I think they're part of a smaller group which is holed up in the mountains near Onar's farm. But if you intend to go there, let me warn you. Those cutthroats make short work of everyone.
I'll remember that.
Halt! No one may enter the storeroom! Are you deaf? One step closer and I'll chop you to bits!